Right on, there we go. Streaming, recording for YouTube. Everything is good to go. So, trying to wake up. We're doing this one starting a little earlier than usual. And what I would like to do today, obviously, as the title suggests, more digging. Hoping that we can finish getting this dug and this section here dug as well. I think it's doable. I really do. Yep. We've been at this project a few streams now. I think we've done 3. Maybe this is the 4th one or so. I'm excited. I'm excited to get this area done so that we can start plunking down some builds and start with the whole transformation process of the island, the biome. That's a good one. That's a better word, biome. Yes. Yes. A lot of digging to go. But we've made a very valiant effort so far. Yeah, we'll just kind of... How do I want to do this? I guess we could poke in here and try to get the stone done so that we just have mostly dirt. I forgot to grab the flint and steel. Yep. to burn things like the cobblestone and stuff. I don't want to save any more. I need to get also grinding on making the mud. I've made a little bit, but we need to get back towards we need to get back over to the mud maker and get that rolling. Yes. All right. So I'll do the same thing here and get some of this going. And tis good morning. Or good afternoon, your time of day. Let's see. I have a few... Oh, the beacon doesn't work back here. Chewbacca, good morning. I've got a few topics of conversation wrote down here. A few notes for myself. Plans for the island. We're gonna go through transform the area, mud on this side with some block variants. We're gonna go moss on this side. I've got a decent build that I want to I think we want to put it right in here somewhere, maybe kind of close to the mud farm, and then this whole side of the island we're going to plunk down a build. I don't want to say what it is just yet, but we're going to put a build here, and we're a couple episodes away from actually building that. And then there's going to be some customized trees and things like that I definitely want to put. Kind of turn it into a spooky area for the time being. Let's see. I need. Oh. Yep. I don't want any of this. I guess I should have kept the coal, but nah, whatever. And what I have planned in my cabeza could be highly different than what ends up what this ends up looking like, but I'm hoping it turns out cool, man. So where are we at month-wise? It's August. Yeah. Want to do some spooky-ish stuff over here on the island. You know, we're getting close to that time of the year, spooky season. So preparations for that, I guess is a good, yeah. So what do I got here? I've got a little notepad. I keep a notepad by the computer for all the different things that we do. I take notes, keep up with projects and things. Let's see, we got where is the I got I've got more notes on here that I know what to do with. Those are things I need to finish at the house. Those are the other things. Yeah, there we go. So the topics of conversation today that we're going to kind of roll through is going to be work. Work's been a little bit wild, and I'm a little tired today. Schedule was kind of thrown off. Talk about some crazy driving I seen, which is always fun. I'm going to dabble into talking about Pokemon a little bit because I spent 33 hours grinding a specific thing, and we were finally successful. And then I'm going to get into, later on, a story about my life. Real-life story that could be, I don't know. It's an interesting story nonetheless. I have Legos wrote down as a reminder of what I want to talk about. I've got a lot of different childhood stories and things that happened to me that shaped the future, turned me into the individual that I am today, and it's not a great story, but there are good parts. And this particular story is one of the times in my life that I can pinpoint a huge shift from one direction to a completely opposite. No, I never got a Lego stuck in my nose. I never did anything like that. Was it my nephew? My nephew did. But no, it was a huge tipping point for the course of the rest of my school age years. But work. What the heck was that noise? I need to turn this up just a little bit. There we go. Work hasn't been as intense as it was the previous week where I was working in a really, really hot building. But I had to... Yesterday, my plan was to go into the shop and finish up some end-of-job type things. So when you do a decent little remodel project, you'll get a set of drawings of what they want you to do. And as you progress through the job, there's typically changes, additions, subtractions. So we have to note that. If I was a building owner, I would definitely want to know, what was changed, what was done. Especially for the maintaining purposes of after the construction people leave the building and you've got to keep the thing running. Let's see. I probably want to fill this layer in here. And it's nice to go from the job we were at where the work conditions were kind of sucky, but the work was real good, to kind of a more chill and relaxed thing to kind of polish out the week. And yeah, the job's done. So anyway, like Monday we had to go finish out some stuff for the inspector. Tuesday, Wednesday we were messing with these lights that were... I miss the old days. I've been doing this a long time. I miss the old days where you put a light in, you put a switch on it, and that was the end of the deal. You turn the light on, you turn the light off. They had dimmers, and the dimmers had a little, a little slide lever. You could adjust the lights up and down, brighter, dimmer, whatever you wanted to do. Early days of lighting controls, they were very basic. They would sense occupancy and shut off, or lack of occupancy and shut off. And nowadays with LEDs and stuff, they're great, but the lighting controls that come with the new latest and greatest of technologies, it's just a pain. It's a pain to get some things working, and these lights that they sent us essentially were incorrect. So anytime you go to do a job like what I just did, there's a submittal process, and your design team and all that have your architects, your engineers, your design team, stuff like that. You will submit what you think they want for lights, receptacles, all kinds of fixtures, and then they will go through and go, yep, we want this, yep, we want this, nope, we don't want that, so on and so forth. And the submittals on these certain products come from the manufacturers of said items. Well, I have seen 2 or 3 different submittals. Bird, good morning. For these light fixtures that we were installing, and they are a recessed light. So, to put it into retrospect for you, this is recessed in this, right? This stone right here is recessed in the dirt. That's basically what the light was, except it was in the ceiling. So if you had a ceiling like this, we had a strip cut out where a light would go. So in the submittal drawings, it tells you what you need to frame that hole out for the light fixture to fit in. And the manufacturer said you needed a 4 1/4 inch wide hole, something like this, to fit the light in. Well, when we got the light and we started tearing it apart, figuring out how it was going to go up into this cutout of sheetrock, we did some measuring, because you had the light fixture. Let's say this is the light fixture. This is one section. You're going to have another section that butts up to it, and then on these 2 sections right here, there was a coupling that kind of went along the outside of this, and that bolted on. The submittal drawings showed that coupling being on the inside of the light, not on the outside. So when we took some measurements of that coupling and the bolts holding that coupling together, it was actually 4 1/2 inches. And that's 4 1/2 inches from the outside to the outside. Now, what's weird and special about these lights is when they're in the ceiling like this, they actually don't shine down. They shine to the wall next to it and illuminate the wall. So the light actually sits at an angle across the light fixture. It bolts into the side of this light fixture with bolts. And so if you measured from the edge of the light to the outside of this bolt, it was 4 1/2 inches. So if you measured the coupling all the way to the outside of the bolts, it was 4 3/4 inch, not 4 1/4. It was a 1/2 inch difference, which isn't that much, but when the sheetrockers frame a hole out, that's what you got. And the work it would take to redo everything would have been amazing. And it would have taken a lot of time and money and stuff like that. So, huge issues with these fixtures, and luckily, me and the guy I was working with, we got them figured out, and they actually took less time than we originally anticipated, but there was a lot of contingencies and problems with them. So essentially, the light fixture itself, we didn't put the coupling, which was just a thin little piece of metal that went around. We didn't put that on. And then the bolts that stuck through to hold the angled fixture, luminaire portion of it, we actually had to use like We tried some self-drillers to get it into the stud, but we ended up having to go with a different kind of screw that's rated for screwing straight into sheetrock. And, such a pain. Such a pain. Then on the fixture, where the luminaire comes across at an angle, there's also a lens that kind of U-shapes, and it slides in these little grooves, and hour and a bit, me and my buddy were trying to get those in. They were such a pain. We figured it out, figured out the magic trick to get it working, but I think originally they was supposed to be like from Tuesday to Thursday we were installing lights, but we actually got done Wednesday, and the sheetrockers didn't show up until way late on Tuesday to cut our hole for us. Oh, so trying to fill in the days with things to do, because work is kind of slow at the moment for us. We went back. Let's see, there was a couple of outlets that they wanted added, so we did that, and then finished up with a couple of inspections, which is always fun, having somebody come and critique all your work and see if you're worthy. But long ago, a couple months ago, walls were up, sheetrock was done, paint was kind of going on. They had the cabinet hangers, because they didn't have to make the cabinets, they just had to hang the cabinets. They had the cabinet guys come out, and they were hanging cabinets on walls. Well, these guys were going gangbusters, mounting their cleats and hanging their cabinets and doing their thing, and they weren't really paying attention to certain things. Ooh, that's the wrong button. So as these guys are going gangbusters on these cabinets, they set a certain couple of screws, and what they didn't see, if they would have looked up, were two pipes that came across the ceiling. They turned into the wall, and then they'd go through the wall down to the next floor. And so they actually drove a screw into that pipe, and that fed one of the rooftop units that does a majority of the building as far as climate control, heating, and air conditioning. Turned into a quite a large issue. So when I went in yesterday to do my finish up work, we call them red lines on the drawings. I was going to do that until about noon and then come home for a little while, hang out with the wife, and then I had to go back up there and do a insulation test on these wires. Now, they pulled their screws out, and when they pulled their screws out, the building maintenance turned that rooftop unit back on, and it's been running like that for a month and a half, almost 2 months. But they wanted a test done to ensure the integrity and safety of their wires / equipment. So going back into work at 6 o'clock yesterday was kind of an odd deal that threw my schedule off. But luckily we were only there for like I don't know, hour and a bit. It was an hour and a bit getting that stuff done and taken care of. Nice to get a little bit of overtime hours, considering work has been relatively slow these past few weeks. But in the middle of all of this, whilst I'm at the shop doing my thing, I get emergency call for the utility company. The utility company was running around these townhomes putting in new meters. So if you ever look on the outside of your house, at least here in the United States, I can't vouch for anywhere else, but there's a box, right? You're gonna see a pipe that goes up. It typically goes up through your roof, and wires go out to a pole. And on that, particular box is this big thing protruding out of it, and if you look at it, it's got numbers, and it says like kWh, which is kilowatt hours. That's how they charge you for power. That is a meter. That is what the city or utility company will use to figure out how much power you've used, and then they charge you based on whatever the going rate is, and yada yada yada. Well, Colorado Springs Utilities, where I'm at, is upgrading and changing their meters to a new system. So back in the day, they used to have a meter reader, individual that would walk around from house to house, from meter to meter, and take, the numbers down. And it was a full-time thing that they would have to do. With technology's advancements and stuff like that, they're changing all of these meters to a digital signal, so they can just click on a house on a computer and be like, okay, they've used this much power, so on and so forth. But anyway, when they opened up the meter to do this change at this particular townhome, they noticed some signs of arcing, which is an issue. And let's see, the lady that owned the townhome was telling us that they were built in the late 80s, so that's been 30-something years that those meters have been riding. So, thought I was going to get out of work early yesterday and ended up staying all day doing an emergency, trying to, you got to shut somebody's power down at their house. And then, of course, that's a nerve-wracking thing for everybody involved. If I was a homeowner, I'd be sitting there tapping my watch, waiting, like, let's go. I got food in the fridge that's gonna go bad, my dude, if you don't hurry up. But we got it done. Yeah. So schedule a little awry. Throws the days off, throws the evenings off. It kind of sucked to lose most of my evening hanging out with the wife and kids and doing the usual. Yep. Let's see. And I hope we can get this thing dug out. But it's all good. It's all good. We are chilling for the next 2 days. I've got a bunch of honeydews and things to finish up here at the house. Today's cleaning day. Saturdays are always cleaning days at the house, so once I get done streaming, that's what I typically go do. But with all this running around town, going from job to job and place to place, I get to witness some interesting things. I've always been the type of individual that is always paying attention to the world around me, not just stuck in my own little groove. And what was it? Last week we had talked about, craziness and drivers and people hauling down the interstate at 75 miles an hour on their cell phones, driving with their knee, eating food, texting on their phone or whatever they were doing. But this week, what I seen more of that, of course. But about where I live, I've got a 4-way intersection. Let's do some drawing. So, typical 4-way intersection, right? So imagine this is a road, this is a road, this is a road, this is a road. Center section would be where you've got your 4 stoplights. So this road kind of turns off and veers off. This way, this road goes over to the highway. This road will take you down into the downtown portion of the town I live in. And this road does the opposite, where it turns off in this direction. So for the truckers and stuff coming off the highway, there is a right-hand turn lane right here. And very, very typical in Colorado you're going to have a right-hand turn lane that you can get over into and make your right-hand turn. That's not always true. I drive across the entirety of the United States. I've been in multiple states. I've seen some really weird stuff. In New Jersey, they have like a teapot. So if you come up to this road and you wanted to make a left, you're actually going to veer off to the right, and you're going to come at this portion, and then you would make your left-hand turn. It's really weird. Jug handle, that's what it's called. Well, for somebody who isn't from that area, it seems kind of weird. Well, these right-hand turn lanes are pretty interesting because people coming off the highway actually have the right-of-way when turning left. This right-hand turn lane, which is blocked by a median, by the way, like there's a specific little angle part, and this road comes this way. So if you're a driver coming this way, there's a yield sign right here, so people turning left actually have the right-of-way. Well, what I have seen is I have seen people coming, and instead of coming up to this light and stopping and making their left-hand turn, they dive off into this and then make their left-hand turn. And I've noticed it's mostly, like the 6 times that I've seen it done, it's always Texas plates. I'm not bashing Texas. I'm just saying, if you're going to drive in an area that you're not familiar with, you're probably on, or your best course of action would be to pay heavy attention to what's going on with traffic patterns so that you don't cause an incident. Because of the 6 times that I've seen this done, 3 times, half the times, there's been a car trying to turn right and a car going left. And it's hilarious because there's honking and there's fingers pointed and fingers and words exchanged. And anyway, the courteous thing to do, like the jug handle that we were just talking about, pay attention to what traffic is doing and follow the local stuff, man, so you don't end up causing an accident. Oh, I stopped right here for some reason. Anyway, that would require some people to pay attention, and some of the most aggressive and crazy drivers I've seen on the road, at least here in Colorado, are people with Texas plates. Again, I'm not calling you out. I'm just stating fact. Yep. But it is hilarious to see, man, and luckily, nobody has been in a wreck or anything like that in that specific location. But if we all paid just a little bit more attention, I think we could avoid a lot of these conundrums that we find ourselves into. Like shopping, okay? When I go shopping, typically with my wife, one of the things that I tend to do is I'm always watching other people. Because you go down an aisle to pick up a little bit of groceries, a certain thing of food. So the Fillmore exit we will talk about momentarily. As a matter of fact, let's segue back into the Fillmore exit. Lofty, good morning. The Fillmore exit is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. That is some engineer trying to do something. Essentially, what you have at the Fillmore exit that we're talking about is you've got 2 lanes of traffic, right? And this is the right-hand lane heading west. This is the left-hand lane heading east. When it goes over the interstate, this lane crosses over and goes like this. And this would be the interstate that runs north and south. And then as you get back over here, as she crosses back over. And so if you're coming down Fillmore Hill, you're going to veer to the left. This way you can make a left-hand turn onto the interstate, and then you're going to cross back over in normal. And it's the same thing with this road. If you're heading this way, you're going to cross over. You can make your left onto the interstate, and then you're going to cross back over. It is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I know they put it in as a means to fix the traffic of people going on and off the interstate, but it does not fix the traffic problem. Does not. Shopping trolleys ramming into your ankles, pushchairs running in. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just getting ready to talk about. I like to pay attention because people don't pay attention. And the amount of times that I've been bumped into or almost ran into, is astounding. But the fact that I pay attention to, I've always got my head on a swivel, looking around. I've actually been hit by a zero. Oh, I meant to dump my inventory. We got to doing things. I've not been hit by anything because of the sheer fact that I pay attention to what's going on around me. But the craziest part to me is, I try also to be a little courteous to other shoppers, because I might walk into an aisle and just be kind of perusing the sections, trying to find a specific item or whatever the case may be. And sometimes you get in that zone of what you're buying, and next thing you know, there's somebody standing there tapping their foot because they need to get in there to buy or grab something, and nobody says excuse me or pardon me or like, hey, can I get in there real quick? Which would go a long way, I think, but that boils onto a whole other topic about being genuinely nice to people and human decency and things. So I try extremely hard to pay attention to the world around me, but the craziest thing is when I'm in an aisle, I will see that where people are like, they've got their shopping cart, halfway in the aisle. Yeah, grocery shopping online is definitely, for as much as I dislike the general public, that's not a nice thing to say, but the lack of common courtesy and the sheer amount of rudeness that comes from the general public, yeah, I could see the allure of online shopping, but no, they'll have their shopping cart turned sideways in the aisle, and you're like, I gotta get my shopping cart through here, man. And I remember once, quite a few specific moments, but, I'd be like, hey, excuse me. And these people would look around like, what? Who? Why? How? There's other people that live on this planet. What are you doing on my Earth? Give you this look like, who are you and where did you come from? Why are you even breathing my oxygen? It's amazing to me the sheer just ignorance of people that don't understand there's more than just them in the world. Let's see, sounds like the UK then, as they do that here. Yeah, it's predominantly done everywhere, I think. It's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know why people have to be so nasty to one another. It boggles my mind. I think it takes just as much effort to be nasty to someone as it does to be courteous to someone. I really do. I don't think there's a huge difference in attitudes. But, to each their own, I guess. I try not to be that individual, the jerk. But, I was, when my kids were much younger, little, we were doing some shopping, and that's when we used to take the kids and stuff with us everywhere. Now they're all older, and they never want to go anywhere with us, which is standard. It's tracking perfectly. I remember a lady walking, pushing her cart and hit my kid. People are the worst, I agree. Let's see, he says that, then there's like 9 other people there. But this individual, this specific individual was pushing her cart down the deal, man, wasn't paying attention and hit my kid with the cart. And I promote kindness and I promote niceties and trying to be, decent. I typically don't stand on, on a platform trying to push an agenda, but I do try to push, be kind to one another. Let's make this world a little bit better of a place than it really is. We can do that. But when this lady hit my kid, confronted her, my wife confronted her, like, hey, hey man, you just got my kid with your cart. And the lady's like, well, maybe if you paid attention to where your kids are, that wouldn't happen. It's like, maybe if you paid attention to where you were pushing your cart, you wouldn't have ran into my kid. Like, that's not my fault. You hit my kid with the cart. So getting really, really snooty with me, and there was some choice words exchanged, and then of course my wife, my wife was ready to kill somebody. Mama Bear was on the attack. But no, man, it's just I could not believe it. The audacity of some people, like, oh, you should be paying attention to your kid. Oh, I'm sorry, it's my job to prevent you from hitting my child with your cart. Goodness gracious, man. You're the one controlling the operation of that little vehicle. Maybe you should be in control? Let me see a license. I want to see your license and registration. Wicked people, man. You get groups of people standing in the aisles just talking, and then when you ask them to move, it's like, hell no, yeah, I know. Oh my goodness. So, again, the allure of shopping... Hello? Okay, I'm still picking up. The allure of shopping online is getting more and more enticing to me, except for the additional... Some of these places will charge you fees and stuff, so you gotta watch that, But... let's see, we're at the Y level 80. But, no, the grocery store by my house, or the one that we typically go to, they stopped doing the overnight stocking, so they do their stocking during the day. So they have pallets upon pallets of goods sitting in the middle of the aisles. Basically, there's, you've got your... Let's go into a little flatter location. You've got your aisles, like this, and you can walk down the aisles. You got stuff on this shelf and this shelf. And they run a long length, and then there'll be another aisle, and so on and so forth. Then you've got a wide aisle that you can go up and down, and then there's like clothes and stuff over here. And down this section is where they'll put all their pallets of stuff, man. And yeah, so people will stand like in between the pallets and talk, and that's fine. That's great. That's a perfect place. Please stay there. You're out of the way. You're doing great. You're doing great. But then you got the people that don't stand in between the pallets and stuff, and they're just, like you said, they're just like, you want me to move for you so you can get by? Don't you know that this is my Walmart? Oh. Oh. I told this one group, it was some younger kids, man. And they gave me that daggered look. And it's not always the women. It's not always the women. But they do like to cast that look, though. That's a woman look that I don't know how to describe it. My wife gives me that look like 90% of the time. That's just being married for 11 years, right? Almost 11 years. Anyway, no, there was this young group of kids just chit-chatting, shooting the breeze, doing their thing, and I was like, hey, excuse me, pardon me. And they're just like, they looked at me, and then they looked away. And then they went on to their, whatever they were doing, man. They were just back into their topics of conversation, and What was the noise? Nope. Finally, I looked at the kids and I was like, hey, it's kind of rude to just be standing in the middle of the aisle blocking the way for people going through. So if you guys want to chit-chat, how about you move or get their number and call them at home? It's something we say on the job side to people that are standing around talking more than they're working. Yeah. Yeah. A bunch of eye rolling and attitudes were definitely given that day. But you know, like I said, you just gotta pay attention, you know? Pay attention to the world around you, observe all the things. It's really not that hard, man, to be courteous. Not any harder than it is to be rude. Oh, no. We want that to go away. Burn the mushrooms, yes. It's really not. It's really not that hard to pay attention to the world around you. And what should I do? And just have a little bit of human decency. But yeah, the amount of times that I could count me almost being hit by a shopping cart or my kids, you know, is equivalent to the amount of shiny Bidoofs that I caught on Pokemon Legends Arceus, which is 13, by the way. I've caught 13 shiny Bidoofs. Nice little segue, huh? We're getting good at this storytelling stuff. I do want to talk about Pokemon Legends Arceus. That's why we had the goofy little segue there. I've got 116 hours. I checked it last night, but now I cannot. The number escapes me. Shiny Bidoof. Shiny Bidoof. What a goofy. That Pokemon does suck. Legends Arceus is a great game, so I think I'm going to make a tutorial on shiny hunting Eevees in that game, because I have spent 33 hours shiny hunting. Now, 16 of those hours were before I got the shiny charm, and I want to break it down. And yes, Bidoof does suck, but and what a name for it. I mean, it's already got a stupid name anyway, like Bidoof. So the way that the odds work with that game, it is a lot of fun to shiny hunt in that game, because you can manipulate the odds in your favor, and you can typically find shinies very, very easy. And what I love about the game is it's a huge step away and a step in the right direction from the main series games, in my opinion. Like, they did a lot of things good and a lot of things correct, which means if Game Freak stands on their normal track record, they will never make another game like Legends ever again. Kind of like Mega Evolutions and Z-Moves and all of those things. Anyway, was it Gen 3? Gen 3 had the... No, that's something else. Never mind. So, my original plan with Legends was, how close are we to hitting the... Like, if I put the beacon, like, right here, I think we would be good. Let's move the beacon real quick. Let's go empty our inventory first, and then we're going to move the beacon. I've lost my train of thought there. But anyway, my original plan with Legends was to complete the decks, all 240 Pokemon, and then get the shiny charm and call it a night. I figured that would be a good stopping point for me, good enough to put the game down if I wanted to. Well, Pokemon Arceus. It's the latest and greatest Pokemon game from Game Freak and Nintendo. No idea. Oh, it's a great game. If you're a fan of Pokemon, highly recommend picking that game up. So there have been quite a few games over the course of my years of playing video games that I've got a lot of hours in, right? Skyrim. Skyrim, I had many hours. I think I have like 126, 136, something like that, hours in Skyrim. Final Fantasy X, I had 120 hours in that game. I actually completed that game to the point where I had nothing else I could do. Red Dead Redemption 2. 100%ed that game. I have many hours in that. Over 100 hours in that game as well. Legends Arceus is going to be a game that is going to probably take or have my most played time hours in. Well, not including Minecraft. 1,000 hours in Skyrim. You're nuts, man. You're nuts. That is insane. Love Skyrim. I stayed away from Skyrim when it was first put out for the 360 because I knew what it was going to do. And it did. It absolutely took a lot of my time from me. Which is fine. Let's do that. I want to do that, so I have those on the hot bar. But Legends, I've got 116 or 117 playing hours in it, and before I completed the dex, or before I got the shiny charm, I thought it would be interesting to fill out the evolutions and Eevee's dex entry by getting a shiny, getting my hands on at least 8 shinies, because you can get all the evolutions. Sidebar, what I love the most, I think, about Legends is the fact that you don't need a friend with their copy of the game. You don't need a second game. You can catch all 240. There are 242. But you don't need the other 2 to complete the game. Darkrai and Shaman, you have to have save data from like BDSP and Sword and Shield. But you don't have to catch them to complete the game. You don't have to have any external things to complete the game, which is awesome. Because every other Pokemon game in the existence, you have to have one or both copies. You have to have a friend, trade. And then again, you can't even get all the mons that way. Yeah. Yep, it's just kind of a pain. So, that is one of the things that I wanted to do, and I started shiny hunting in Eevee, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, I gotta do some counting real quick. 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yep. Well, Eevee spawns in a few locations. It says so in its dex entry. It spawns in space-time distortions pretty frequently. That doesn't seem right. Can I have my dirt, please? Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, that is correct. That is right. Anyway, but it is a rare spawn. So your encounters of Eevee are actually going to be a lot less of those of other Pokemon. Well, I did find all the spots in which it spawns in the Obsidian Fieldlands, and I sat there running through the Fieldlands multiple times trying to find a shiny. To no avail. So I quit. I figured I'd wait till I got the shiny charm, which will boost my odds. If you have a perfect dex entry, which is something exclusive to Legends Arceus, perfect dex entry plus the shiny charm will net you a 1 in 585 chance of finding a shiny, which is considerably good odds considering what the odds were back in Generation 2 when they first introduced shinies. So, Oh, you got to be... Come on. Click, click, click. Thank you. Give it. All things considered. I figured it'll be good. All things considered, I knew it was going to be difficult to get some of these shiny Pokemon. There are certain mons that only spawn in certain conditions, like Magnemite and Cranidos and Bastiodon. No, Shieldon. Bastiodon's the evolution. Those are going to be kind of difficult to find because they only spawn in the space-time distortions. So getting them perfect dex entries and running into a chance of finding them, it's not going to be great. But a lot of the mons that you can find in mass outbreaks should be pretty decent to find, which Eevee is one of those. Well, as I found out, Eevee is probably the most grindy mon in the game because if you want to get all of the evolutions, you're going to have to catch 8 shinies, right? As opposed to what I'm trying to do, where I only need like 1 Magnemite, or 1 Shieldon, or 1 Cranidos, or 1 Porygon. Anyway. I started grinding the shiny Eevee after I got the shiny Charm. Running the Obsidian Fieldlands, thinking I could easily find a... It shouldn't be too long before I find a shiny Eevee. Well, what do I got? I don't have the game next to me. I have a shiny Ambipom, which is from a different run that I was working on, but it was while I was hunting shiny Eevees. I have a shiny Chimchar from a mass outbreak. I have a 3 shiny Shinx and 13 shiny Bidoofs and a shiny Starly. Those are all the shinies I found whilst hunting Eevee. Now when it comes to the mass outbreaks and stuff, Eevee doesn't spawn as frequent as some of the other mons. And rolling the outbreaks is kind of a pain. So there's massive mass outbreaks and mass outbreaks. EVs don't spawn in massive mass outbreaks, only mass outbreaks. And it is very rare. I know some people that have put 100 hours into the game that have not seen a single EV mass outbreak. I probably seen a few and didn't realize the rarity whilst I was playing through my game. And just kind of shunned them as I will do that later. Hello. I really, really need to carry my trident on me. So I found the optimal way, essentially, of hunting the mass outbreaks for Eevee, to the point where I was only getting like, sure, that's perfectly legit. Burn it all. Burn it all. Hey. Let me keep this guy on me. Every time I fly away, though... Let's see. Yeah. Whatever. It thunders or lightnings one time. No. See? Yeah, there we go. Come here, dude. Come here. Dang it. Well, and the cows aren't going to spawn at night. I know a lot about the spawning of these mushroom cows. What is it, 4? Only 4 of them will spawn, and they don't spawn at night. They only spawn in daytime. Or they only spawn in light, I should say. So if I lit up the place, they would spawn. But, it is what it is. So no, I went from only finding like an outbreak of EVs once every 2 hours to finding one about every 45 minutes to an hour of gameplay. I essentially cut the time in half, and I've done 9 mass outbreaks and finally found a shiny Eevee last night. So happy. 7 more to go. Agus Hernandez, thank you for the follow. But yes, I've got a lot of grinding to still go in the game. What I love about the Switch and Legends and all the things, and the reason I'm playing so much of it is, like, you know, lunch breaks, regular breaks, morning breaks. I can throw on the Switch for 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at lunch and just play and do a little grind. Because my ultimate goal for that game now is to collect every shiny Pokemon that I can and have a shiny Dex. Not a living Dex, just a shiny Dex. I do not want to catch 3 Cyndaquils and 3 Oshawott and all of that. No, I don't want to do that, but I want to get a shiny Dex, and I do want to perfectly complete the Dex, so get a perfect Dex entry of every single Pokemon. It's going to be a process. Yep. It's going to be a process. But it gives me something to do. Inventory is almost full. Bet I can fill it. It's a good guess. Let's sleep the night away too. Well, I definitely think I can do it. I know some people have done a full, like, living Dex of shinies, and they've done all kinds of craziness that I'm not gonna do. What I'm already attempting is enough craziness for me. But the channel, my other channel where I put all of my Pokemon stuff, I think I'm going to break it down into tutorial land of what I've learned and what I've found and how to optimize the chances. I think that'll be fun. Yep. And it's just more grindy stuff to do, like digging out, you know, half of a mushroom island. Oh, I hope this thing turns out the way I have it planned in my head. It looks cool in my head. So, that's all I really wanted to talk on Legends. I don't want to get too much in detail. I know some people are probably just eyes glazed over and sleeping. It's not everybody's forte, but, you know, Pokemon is deeply rooted in me because it was a game that I played when I was young. I've played the game since its inception, and it was a way to escape some of the hard times that I had to endure and some of the just terrible things that I had to live through. Yep. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to do like we did before, and we're going to chop this thing down a little bit and square it off. Nicely, so that we have a nice little square patch to dig out, similar to what we just did. Maybe. Hello, little baby cow. Boop, boop. And yeah, we'll do this. We'll get all the cobblestone, and we'll do all the things. Um, where are we at? We're at, ooh. So all of that talking got us an hour in. Dude, seriously, you're gonna get a pickaxe to the face. Just walk away. Yep. The next topic of conversation is a story. Like I said, I had Legos wrote down because it is a little bit of a story about Legos, but there's more to it than just that. This is a story from my childhood, and like I said earlier on, it is kind of a story I can boil back a huge turning point in my life that shaped where I ended up and how I headed in this direction. Yeah, it's not a great story. There are some things that are going to be said. You know, we're gonna definitely keep the language and stuff cleaned up, but situations and things that happened, it is what it is, man. Like this is a real story. I'm not embellishing on it. I'm not trying to do any kind of let's see. If we cut this thing right here. And we go this way. I think this will be a nice little cut. But no. So back in the day, I was probably 11, transitioning from 6th grade to 7th grade. You know, life was kind of crazy. Things were not great at home. Let's see, what do I want to do here? My mom's was oh no, less than good at raising us kids. And I always found myself kind of not at home, man. Running around with my buddies, you know, playing games or skateboarding, riding bikes, street hockey, whatever I could do to keep myself away from the house and keep myself away from the situation that presented itself at my house. So my bio mom was quite an alcoholic that consumed her life and eventually led to a complete downward spiral and the loss of her children. And we were put into foster care. We were adopted. There's tons of stories, tons of different avenues that I can take of telling stories of all the things. But during the downward descent over the course of the middle school years is when it spiraled completely out of control. And let's see, 3 away from hello. And like I said, this is kind of a tipping point for my life, and what it inevitably ended up and why I was the way I was. Let's see, if we were to just go straight back, we could dig this chunk out, and then yeah, that'll be fine. So I was never home. I was always trying to avoid the situations that presented themselves for obvious reasons. And not only that, but I was always out trying to mooch off my friends and stuff, for lack of better words, because there was never really any food in the house, man. And perfect. Yeah, we very rarely ever had food. And one of the times I was hanging out with my buddies, you know, they a couple of them had quite sticky fingers, and I used to steal stuff as well, but my stealing wasn't for because I wanted things. It was because I needed food to survive. And out of all the times I ever stole stuff from a store or whatever have you, as a matter of fact, the only time that I ever actually got caught was when I took something I didn't need, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. The one time I didn't need what I took, I got busted, and luckily they were pretty good. But I will say this, you have a record, especially when you go into a foster care situation. And one of the things it said on that foster care record was I was a thief because of that one time I got caught. And that followed me over into one of the foster families I lived with, who tried to tell the foster care agency that I had stolen a bunch of stuff from them and had sold it for things. And I think they were trying to just get money out of the foster care agency, to be honest with you. But I don't know. I don't know 100% how true that is. When I got yanked into foster care, I had very few items with me, and one of the items I had with me was a Game Boy with a Pokemon game. Again, that's why I said it's a deeply rooted game for me. But that's what they tried to say I had traded for or sold their stuff for, which was complete and utter nonsense. No, my childhood was far from good. Up until, foster care. That's when things changed for the better. But anyway, one particular summer day, I think we were about a month into summer, and things are going strong. We're doing our thing. How do I want to play this? Do I want to just... I guess we'll just dig the dirt, and then we'll dig the cobble stone after. Me and my friends so we used to peruse the shops too, man. Like, they had this strip mall, still there as a matter of fact, just the stores have changed. There used to be like a Best Buy, and there used to be it wasn't Hobby Lobby, but it was like a Hobby Town. They sold Pokemon cards, and they sold all kinds of like D&D stuff, Magic the Gathering, yada yada yada, a real oasis for us nerds to go hang out at. And we used to just float through the shops. Like, we didn't have money. We really didn't. Me and my buddies did not have the money to buy anything. Let's go ahead and just do this here. There we go. And we'll collect all of the dirt. This is what I'm after anyway. I think once I get that last double chest filled, I'm just going to burn it all. I think. But anyway, that was just one of the things that we would do, and it was fun, man. We'd cruise the mall, Again, same scenario where we didn't really have the funds or the finances to be in the mall. We weren't going to buy anything, but hey, it is what it is. So let's see, okay. So the one time, well, all my buddies were like, hey, let's go to Office Max or Office Depot, one of those places, one of the office supply chain stores, right? And I was like, why would we go there? They sell like pens and pencils and school stuff, man. What are we going there for? But we did go there, and of course, like I said, a couple of my buddies had sticky fingers, but this particular trip was vastly different in the fact that all my buddies, all 5 of them knuckleheads, decided they were going to steal stuff that day. And not only did they steal stuff, but they got busted. Busted big time. And so as it boiled down, luckily, you know, I was guilty by, or not guilty, but, you know, I was run in by association. And I didn't have anything, so I'm the only one that actually didn't get in trouble in this whole process. Let's see. Perfect. But all my other friends got grounded pretty much for the rest of the summer. So we had like a month and a half, 2 months before school started. It's like, dudes, you know, you're killing me. Well, it came to the point where, like I said, I didn't want to be at the house. You know, that's why we were running where we were running anyway, and cruising the stores and doing our thing. So at this point, I pretty much was, you know, outside riding my bike, or I was inside, you know. I was inside when I had to be, and then the other times I was outside riding my bike, skateboard, you know, going from place to place doing things. But it was rather boring when the friends and stuff that you normally would hang out with weren't there. It got to get to the point where I didn't really want to do that either. It was more boring, in my opinion, to be out and about than it was just sitting at the house. So eventually, after about a week of cruising around and stuff, I found myself just kind of moping around the house, which is a place I didn't want to be at. So before I carry on with the rest of the story, let me tell you about another time of my life. Some of my earliest childhood memories are rooted in Germany. I was a bit of a military brat, and one of the things that they used to do, at least from what I can remember in Germany, was like a specific time of day, or not time of day, time of week. People would put stuff out on the curb, and you could go, you could just go, drive around, snag any and everything that you wanted, if you wanted it. And it was like a yard sale, but not a sale, you know? It was a yard donation, is the best way I can put it. And the reason I talk about this is because I actually had gotten a chair that was one of the comfiest chairs I ever had, and it made it back with me stateside. But that story lulls me into the next part of the story we were just talking about, where at the apartment complex that we lived at, people would throw stuff away, and sometimes they wouldn't put it in a dumpster. And so me and a lot of people would, you know, take out the trash and then kind of look around and see what was there. So my neighbors in this first week of my friends being grounded had actually thrown away this CD player / cassette player. And I snagged it up. I figured, you know what, this will give me something to do. Let's see if we can figure out why they threw this away. Does it not work? Does the radio work? Does the CD player work? Those types of things. Because my setup in my room at the time was an old school record player / 8-track player. And if you don't know what an 8-track is, or a record, Google it. Basically, it's an ancient piece of technology, and it's how the cavemen used to listen to music. So I thought that this boombox, I'm going to call it a boombox, it's not what it was, but this CD player, record player, cassette player, would be a nice upgrade to the musical system that I currently had in my possession, which is why I took it. Well, when I plugged the thing in at the house, man, it actually worked. Like, the cassette player worked, the radio worked. I was like, that's really interesting that it even got thrown away. The CD player, however, did not work, which I was like, okay, well, that makes sense why they, hey, Jade, Google it. It's an ancient piece of technology. It's how the cavemen listen to music, I'm telling you. 8-track is prime for a comeback like vinyl. I don't know, man. I don't know. Vinyl, though, has just a different sound to it. And I think that's why it has come back in popularity, because there's nothing like listening to music on vinyl. But so this first week, yeah, we've upgraded our music system. You know, I'm thinking, man, life is looking up, coming up Millhouse for the Zap. I almost said my real name. Despite the situation that I had found myself in, you know, with day-to-day life, you know, it was looking all right. I guess we're just, you know, we're going to have to dig this cobblestone out later on to put mud in here. I should have brought mud. You know what? You know what? You know what? I need my fire. We actually skipped 8-track in my house growing up, right to vinyl cassette. Nice. One of the houses I lived in with my folks when I was pulled into foster care actually had a 8-track player built into the trailer home. That's how my dad used to wake us up on the weekends, man. Bumping some Johnny Cash. Okay, so let's go grab a wee bit of mud, and we'll fill that in with mud. But so that was kind of the first week of my 2-month getting to school and having a bunch of friends grounded and stuff, you know, and spending my time in a house that I did not want to be in. We'll fly eventually. So about the start of the second week, I actually noticed that, you know, we were seeing some cockroaches, which was kind of an odd thing, because despite not having food and the means of a normal life at the house, my bio mom did do one good thing, and she did get on Section 8 housing, and she would take her tax return, and she would pay for rent for a year, so we did have a roof over our head, and she would buy groceries, but then the rest of the money she would blow on booze. And so for the rest of the year, it was a struggle. So we did always have a roof over our head, so it wasn't always bad. It's just the situation, like I said, wasn't that great. It was not an optimal living conditions and whatever have you. But the house was clean, is where I was going with that. The house was clean. We didn't live in filth. So seeing cockroaches was an oddity for sure. And being young, I was this was transitioning between 6th grade and 7th grade. I was a young Zap. Hair wasn't quite on fire yet. Close. But these cockroaches presented themselves, and I was weirded out by it. But then, you know, I remember back in 6th grade, our science teacher had given us, you know, homework and stuff. We ended up taking, like, test tubes home and doing weird things. I can't even remember all of what we did. All I remember is, for whatever reason, I had test tubes. So I took it upon myself to start running experiments on these cockroaches. And let me tell you something about cockroaches. They are a very resilient little thing. They had, what did I do? I put one in a test tube full of water, left them in there for a few days, and then dumped it out. And after a while, that cockroach got up and crawled away. You know, I froze one, same thing. It lived. I chased one back and forth in a test tube with the lighter, which I know is probably not very nice, but I digress. That thing exploded like a zit. And as a 11-year-old boy, that was cool, man. Oh, where are we at? Did I snuff that fire? I hope I did, because I don't need it. Let's see, I want to save the flint for turning. I need another flint and steel momentarily. I guess I don't need all of it, but it's fine. So I messed around with that for the better part of like a week. And that's how I spent my time. The third week rolls around. Again, we're kind of counting down to school starting back up. School was a huge escape and guaranteed breakfast and lunch for 5 days of the week, which is about the only reason I looked forward to going to school, is because I knew I could eat. I did steal, like I said, food, and early on, of course, I was a kid, so I stole things like frosting. I lived off frosting for 4 days. And then as time progressed, I got a little bit different in what I took and stole from stores. I would start taking things like loaves of bread and lunch meat, so my sisters would have something to eat, because I had 2 siblings during this endeavor. No, I don't want the damn cobblestone. There we go. I want the dirt. All the dirt. Excellent. Let's go dump the old inventory real quick. But when it came to school, man, like I said, we got free lunch, free breakfast, you know. And the ladies there were really, really cool, and so I ate. But the third weekend, I decided that I was going to open up the CD player and figure out why it didn't work. Why the CD player didn't work. Was there something like preventing the, the thing from sliding to read the discs? Like, what was going on? I figured if I didn't cut any wires and I didn't pull any wires off of any boards or anything like that, there was no way that I was going to destroy this CD player or this radio. So, that's what I did. I opened this thing up. Oops. And started tearing into it, trying to figure out what the heck was going on. And in my discovery of what I was doing, I figured out very, very quickly that my infestation of cockroaches was because of the stereo. Yes, there was a large black blob of yuckiness inside this radio. And, God, the stench from this thing was unreal. It's kind of making me gag just thinking about it. It's no wonder my neighbors got rid of this thing. So that was the thing that popped into my head next after I found the cockroach nest, was like, oh my God, my neighbors downstairs from us had cockroaches, man. We could be infested this whole time and don't even know. So I took the nest, I put it in a bag, I threw it in the trash. And dumpsters were way away from my apartment, so I thought that was good enough. And then we, what was it? There was still a few stragglers in the apartment that I took care of, eradicated as time progressed. And yeah, gross, freaking gross, man. It was not. Ugh. Yeah. So anyway, as it turned out, like, it was a good working stereo. So this boils me into about the 4th week of complete isolation because my friends are idiots. And, during this time period, I had seen my bio mom only a handful of times. She came home from her benders, man. So it was relatively quiet at the house for the most part. It was relatively quiet, I should say. So, backtrack a little bit to my biological father. because I haven't really talked about him much. This individual was really not a predominant part of my life and never has been. From the time I was about 2 years old onward, just not there. My friends did get busted for stealing. Idiots. The lot of them were idiots. As a matter of fact, a lot of the people I associated with when I was a child were stupid. But, you know, that's life, right? Live and learn, man. Anyway, yeah. Dude was not in my life. I did not know the man. I did not know him from Adam. Nope. But the one thing that was consistent was Christmas and birthdays, man. The dude would send me Legos. That was for sure. That was always a thing that happened. So I ended up having a dresser drawer, a decent-sized dresser drawer, mind you, of Legos. And I actually ended up not getting any more Legos after this summer because I had a conversation with the man like, you know what, man, I don't want your stuff. This feels artificial. This feels like you're buying any affection that I could potentially give you, and I want no part of it anymore. So after that particular summer, yeah, I stopped even getting anything from him. He obliged, you know, and it may sound like I hold a wee bit of a grudge towards the individual. I don't. You know, I did reach out to him after I turned 18 and the foster care thing was done and long gone. My folks had given me all the paperwork for the process. I got to see all the court documents, and I got to read through everything. There were some really, really rough things that I read about family members and things that were said and done, and it's a crazy thing to think about family and what I perceive now versus what, you know, went on when I was a child from my own flesh and blood, man. Go back and give Little Zap a hug. Little Zap could have used a hug, man. He was an angry little feller. But rightly so. And I've got stories, like we're going to dive more into stories during streams of these times. They're good stories. They really are. They really are. And I'm long past the point where, you know, I could talk about these stories even early on. There's some funny stories about, because when you get taken into foster care and ripped out of your situation and stuff, the instantaneous thing that happens, of course, is therapy. And I've got some funny stories of me and a therapist going round and round. I was too smart for my own good, and they hated it. But no, I did reach out to the man after I turned 18 because my bio mom had said some stories on him, you know, and had her perception of the situation, and I wanted his side of the story so that I could formulate my own opinion, make my own choices and decisions in the matter. And I will give credit where credit is due. The individual got remarried, and the lady that he remarried had children from a previous marriage, and he raised those children as his own, and he took care of them, and kudos to him. I have stepkids of my own who I love dearly, and I would do anything for. So I understand that side of the coin more than he knows. What I don't understand, and what I cannot fathom, and what I highly detest, yeah, we're going to move from hate to detest, is people that do not step up and raise their children. Turn into a brown cow. Give me brown cow, mushroom head. Jerk. I have some family members that are walking the line of not really being there for their children, and I have voiced my concern, and they do not like my opinion, and I don't care. It's an abomination. It's not an abomination. It's just You know, you brought this kid into the world for what? For what purpose? And the other thing I detest is like in the breakup situations, I had this happen where parents will like to utilize the kid as a tool of war, and that is not okay. I'm very, very empathetic to kids and losing parents. You know, I essentially was abandoned by my entire family, so were my sisters. So the empathy level is quite high for people that have gone through that same situation. Goodwill Hunting? Maybe. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but no, I was more of a wise ass to the therapist than anything. Is the best way I can put it into words. And you know, we'll probably have time. We're, what is it, 8:30? Yeah, we'll go for a while. But back to my story of Legos, man. So I took it upon myself to start playing with Legos. It's about the only thing I had in my room because video game systems and stuff like that eventually made their way to the pawn shop. So moms could get the booze, man. It's the way of the world, my world at the time. And so here's the really sad thing. We're gonna veer off topic, like I've said many times before. Sometimes I don't finish a thought and we just start talking about other things, and then we'll come back eventually. Maybe we won't. You know, when I got pulled into foster care, the one thing that the therapist could not understand and did not like was us kids did not like the situation that we were put into because the life that we were living was normal for us. No, it was not a normal situation. No, it was not even a good situation. But what the therapists did not understand, and I tried to explain to them numerous times, was yes, this may not be the right situation, and this may not be how you're supposed to raise kids, and this is not how you're supposed to do things. I get that. I get what you're saying. But what you need to understand is our point of view. That this was normal to us. This was the situation that we were in. Dragging my mom, you know, face down in the park, passed out drunk, and dragging her butt up to the apartment and getting her into bed was normal for me. Sure, it was not okay. Sure, it was not the right way to live, but that was still normal. And throwing us into the situation that we were thrown into was not normal to us. It was weird. And my folks that adopted us, you know, I told them, one thing I explained to them, and they finally just listened to me like 5 years ago when I had this conversation again. I told them, you know, I said, look, you guys did wonders by taking us in and adopting us and raising us as your own and yada, yada, yada. Because they could have left us in foster care, and foster parents get money for foster kids. And if they adopt the foster kids, they still get money, but they don't get as much money. So, you know, it was a loss of pay for them. So for them to take on the responsibility is a big thing. It really is. But I explained to them, you know, you guys completely 86'd alcohol out of the house. And I know why you did it. But it was still incorrect. It was an incorrect way to handle a situation. And I've got a couple of... Oh, no. I've got a couple of family members in a similar situation that I've had this same explanation to them is you can't just stop it. You need to still continue to enjoy your adult beverage and show the kids that it is okay to do it and show them the proper ways to enjoy or indulge themselves. Otherwise, they're going to go one way or the other with it. They're either going to never touch it or they're going to go buck wild. Children are a blessing, not a tool. They are a hope for a better future, and we're responsible for raising them. You're absolutely correct, Jade. 100%. So anyway, Let's no. Almost did it. I just want to clean up this instead of letting it despawn. We are no longer collecting any more materials from the dig out. So back to the Legos thing, you know, we started playing with Legos, man. I started playing with all the Legos that I had, chilling in the room, started building things, little bits, little bobs. Eventually got bored of that and started messing around with, you know, we're going to build a house or whatever. What I actually used to do, hold on, let me clear my throat. What I used to do, a little game I used to play with my Legos, is I would dump out a pile on the floor of all my Legos, and then I would divide the pile in half and clean up one half. Put it away. Oh, I hear movement in the house. And then I would take that pile again in half, put it away in half, so on and so forth until I had just, you know, a pile that was maybe 6 inches in diameter, the size of a coffee can, is the best way I can describe it. And then I would use those Legos to build something. Didn't matter what it was. That's what I would build. And that was kind of a neat way to do things, I thought. But again, that got old after a while, and I started upping my game a little bit with building and messing around and figuring out how to interlock the blocks and stuff for better builds and more strenuous builds. Give me just a sec. Oh man, well, I'm actually gonna have to end the stream a little earlier than anticipated. Yep. So we'll have to pick up this story next time. That's where we will start is continuing the story of my adventures. Didn't quite get this thing dug out, but hey, we made substantial progress. Substantial progress. We got this side finished, we got a good portion of this side finished, and you know, we can get it done. We can get it done. But yep, we're going to end things here. Thank you guys for stopping in, and I will catch you guys on the next one.